Hi, it's Brother Sean again. I'd like to talk about Jesus healing the 10 lepers. And I'd like to come to this with an open and honest, good response. Jesus, we know in the parable, healed 10 lepers. And we know that only one returned. I would like you to imagine how Jesus felt. Well, we know when he said to the one who returned, "Where are the other 9? Well, where were they? Did they call to a cafe and have a cappuccino? Or did they just not think it laudable to return and say thank you? Well, you know, again, coming to you from my heart, and this isn't a theological or a dogmatic interpretation. I leave that to the theologians and the experts. But the more I read that story, the more I shed a tear. Because here it shows the humanity of Jesus the barefoot Galilean. It shows the man who happened to be the Son of God, who went out of his way to heal 10 lepers. And let's bring this into the 21st century, where God is healing and touching many of us as I talk to you right now. Many are on their knees begging God for healing. I know I am, because as I sit doing this video, I have a trapped nerve with sciatica down my leg and it's giving me some drip. But I know that God will provide a remedy at the appointed time, so I trust. But the one thing I know in my life, there's been times when I was one of the 9 where I did not return to say thank you. Oh, that's a terrible thing to say, but yes, it's true. There were times when I did all the novenas and sacrifices, I did everything taught to me by my church to win God's favor. When I was taking my driving test, first time, I nearly lost the driving instructor because it was an old banger that I bought for £100. And I was doing my emergency stop on a hill in Salford in Manchester, on an old cobbled street like what you see on Coronation Street, the television program. Excuse me. And when he said, "I'm going to bash on the dashboard and I want you to do an emergency stop," oh, we stopped beautifully, but the door flew open and thankfully he didn't fall out. But I had a picture of Jesus on the dashboard and I kept saying, "Oh, Jesus, I trust you to get me through this." And despite that, I passed. And I put in months and months of practice and months of prayer. And I did thank God. But there's been many, many times in my life where I have not thanked God. And I feel ashamed. But now that I know that, I can rectify that wrong. I can rectify the wrong by ensuring that I always come before my Jesus, my God, and say thank you. Even when decisions haven't gone in my favor, I've said thank you. Because I believe that the prayer of gratitude is far more powerful than the prayer of petition. But let's come back to the lepers. Are you one of the 9 like I've been? What's happening in society today? Many people are pleading with God, "Help me, help me, help me." But why do they forget to come back? Why did I forget to come back? I guess it's because I became overwhelmed with other issues. And I allowed my life and its problems and trying to earn a decent wage as a nurse and all the problems to do with my work as a nurse practitioner to crowd my space and my relationship with God. In other words, I compromised that relationship by allowing external minutiae destroy my relationship and my peace with God. And today I meet many people, well, I used to meet many people when I was on the road before I became a contemplative enclosed monk, who would ask for prayer and I would pray with them. And they'd give me a litany of complaints about their life and how life has been bad for them and their husband and their children. And it went on, yidi. And I often thought, I wonder what's happened to them. And then out of the blue, I get a phone call many years later. Is that Brother Sean? And I'd say, yes. I said, it's so-and-so. Do you remember me? And I'd say, yes. How are you? And I got the feeling immediately that they were still in the same place. I said, what happened to that beautiful day when you got that incredible healing? Sure, that was then and this is now. And I could tell in their voice that they were becoming more of the victim. And they weren't willing somehow to come into a personal relationship with God. They wanted me to give them a sticky plaster and take it all away. And I was saying to them, that's not how it works. Have you blessed the situation you're in? No time, I'm too busy. And only the other day, a friend of the community called, so wrapped up in themselves about their crystals. I mean, I almost became toxic with listening to the words about crystals. Now, crystals have their place, like candles and incense and prayer. But this person was so focused on their crystals healing them, and I just said, look, hello. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the crystal healing you when all you have to do is surrender your heart to God? And immediately I could feel the shutters go up. I could see in their face a blank expression where they were saying, I don't want to know. Talk to the hand. The face ain't listening. That was the expression. And I felt a certain sense of sadness for them. They were not willing. They were not willing to ask the Creator for the help they needed. And the bottom line was, they just felt that they could go it alone. And they were making such a pig's ear of their life, forgive the expression, but they were just making problem after problem after problem instead of surrendering their heart. And you could feel that they were blaming God. They were blaming God for everything. Why? Because God owes them one. And I said, God owes you nothing. God gave you a life and He gave you the talents and the graces and the skills. And all you have to do when the going gets tough is to ask for help. Oh no. And you could feel the sense of anger in their heart towards God, blaming God. But like the 10 lepers, many today are being touched by God, and only a few come to say thank you. And I guess that's all part and parcel of our humanity, isn't it? Or is it? We're living in a beautiful world, but mankind today has become so absorbed by selfishness and by greed and want. Would that account for the cues to see mystics? When I say mystics, I mean fortune tellers, clairvoyants. You know, God provides us with the tools that we need, and yet not many people want to know. So what do? Do we walk away? No, we send them a prayer and we trust. But gratitude is very important for all of us. And even if we feel an answer isn't forthcoming, we should bless the situation and give thanks.